Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Boyos Discuss, the podcast where we pick a topic and then shoot the shit about it for a while. This week we're talking about episode 5 and 6 of Kenobi on Disney+, so we're wrapping up this show. I'm Matthew, and I'm joined by my co-host Ben. How's it going?
Pretty good.
So there are going to be spoilers for the entirety of Kenobi. We're going to go into like a big sort of discussion at the end of the series overall, so be aware of that going forward. If you haven't seen the last two episodes, sort of just keep that in mind. But with that out of the way, I'm going to kick things over to Ben for the synopsis.
All right, so before we even start with that, I want to put a disclaimer out there. So, now things are going to get a little more complicated with episode names. So, what we're going to do is when we say, episode 1, 2, 3, we're talking about Kenobi. All right, if we want to talk about the main Star Wars films, we will use their titles, like A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith and that good stuff. So, now that that's cleared up.
Okay.
Episode 5, before the episode even starts, we get this new intro, a message from Ubisoft that says these
made
things...
by a team of various faiths.
Yeah,
and
it's
religions.
it's like these things may be upsetting, and I'm like, are they talking about graphic images or are they talking about the baby culture of Star Wars fans? Either way.
Yeah.
That gets, that wraps up, and then the episode starts with a flashback, right? Well, you don't know it's a flashback, but I did. I saw it, and I was like, oh, they're doing it. But there's a big window of, Coruscant, and it's all happy and pretty, and the sky's blue, and ships are flying, and it pans out, and it shows, Attack of the Clones era Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they're in just this, sparring room.
Yeah.
And they start sparring, which is really cool. Hayden Christensen plays, they both play themselves. Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. And they don't look awful. Hayden looks older, definitely.
Yeah.
But
it was
I kind of
interesting,
appreciate that they didn't do this gross kind of de-aging thing, trying to make him look younger, kind of.
Yeah, and
I think them embracing it was a good choice.
I think part of it was the lighting for me that looked weird. They had a lot of close-up shots where it's the lightsaber, the light of it illuminating his face, and I sort of don't think they should have done that. They should have had wider shots, I think, that would have sort of.
Well, that's the thing is when it's a solid, when it's monochrome, one color, it shows texture more.
Yeah.
So it's oof, some wrinkles there. No, I get what you're saying. But, like it or leave it, or like it or hate it, he's a little older. He's got the haircut, though.
Yeah.
It looks very faithful.
The other thing I was going to say that I really like about this is that aside from the scenes in the Jedi Temple during Order 66 in the first or second episode of Kenobi, aside from that, we haven't seen live-action Coruscant since Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Which is fucking nuts.
And to cold start with it like that, that's cool.
It's crazy. And I love seeing an exterior shot of the city, but I don't know, with 20 years-ish of advancement and
just a new aspect to the Jedi Temple of these sparring sessions is cool.
Yeah.
I remember in the Obi-Wan video game, right, about episode 1, there were sparring sessions you would have with the masters to upgrade or I don't know what, but it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Okay, so they're sparring with each other in this flashback. Right when they cross sabers, it instantly cuts to Vader's mask.
Yeah.
And that's a cool cut. And he's staring out of the bridge on his Star Destroyer. And he's with the third sister. So she walks up on the platform and she's like, Obi-Wan is on Jabim. And he's like, dope. We're going to go get his ass. Thanks for figuring that out. So now you can have what you wanted. You are the new Grand Inquisitor. And he puts the little magnet badge on her.
Yeah.
And she's like, yee. So she got her promotion. Then we go to Obi-Wan. He arrives on Jabim in his little ship. And now there's just a fuck ton of people. There's a crowd of these refugees that appeared in between episode 4 and now of the show.
Yeah.
But, Bonkbot and Haja are among them, and it's good to see them.
Yeah.
I love them both. And then Roken from the last episode, he's explained, he's like, we're on a tight schedule for the evacuation, so there's a time frame for this episode. From there, go back to Vader's bridge, and he's like, lock down the hangars from the ship. And I'm like, how the fuck is he going to do that? But they the tracker that was on Lola, the little Leia droid.
Yeah.
Apparently they can make that droid. Like, they hack it.
It was a restraining bolt.
Okay.
/
which just does whatever you want it to.
Basically.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I mean, that's established,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care that much. That's fine. So the droid, is all hacked, and it goes into the wall and cuts these control panels, and the hangar doors lock.
Yeah.
And
get used to that control panel, because we're going to be seeing a lot of it this episode.
Yep. So, doors lock, and they're like, ooh. Oh, but actually, I'm sorry. Before the hangar doors lock, Obi-Wan's walking around the hangar that everybody's in.
Yeah.
And he sees this just box of knickknacks, and it's got all these lightsabers.
Yeah.
And they're like, General Grievous passed through this this secret passage
His
once.
corpse came through here.
It's his wet dream.
Yeah.
So there's a shit ton of lightsabers, and Obi-Wan's just like, woo. But yeah, then the hangars get locked, and they're like, oh shit. And then right when they get locked, Roku is like, there's a Star Destroyer. Shit. So, they figure out that it's Vader's just by being like, yeah, that's probably him.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is like, yeah, that's Vader, and he's going to attack the planet immediately. And they're like, Obi-Wan goes, he has no patience for a siege. And the people are like, how do you know that? You don't know that. Shut up, Obi-Wan. But he's like, I do know that. Because right after he said that, we go back to the flashback from Attack of the Clones, and you see how impatient Anakin is in his fighting style, and Obi-Wan's like, ooh, calm down, it's not all attack, and stuff like that. So, it's cool. I like that kind of those jumps that they're making. The flashback placements in this episode are really good.
Well, they thematically tie into what's going on.
Exactly.
So it's I appreciate that versus we don't know how to cut this, so we're gonna intersperse it.
Which is odd, because in a lot of this show, it is they don't know how to fucking cut it.
Yeah.
But this one's, like you said, very well done thematically. So the flashback ends, and Vader begins his assault on the base. He's in his bridge, and he goes, begin the assault or something.
Yeah.
So then Obi-Wan gives a speech, he's like, don't worry, they're
it's
better
a weird
trained.
Speech. It's really, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. He's like, so the Empire's better trained, and they're better than us in every way. We need to stay calm, but run the fuck away, pretty much. So he's like, prioritize defense and retreat, and we'll try to get the hangar doors open. And it's great. Thanks, homeless guy. But so they put up these barricades, and as they're doing that, as they're preparing for the assault, the landing craft come in with all the stormtroopers, and a whole lot of boys come out, and they all fucking pour out into this, there's a blast door that's sealed that goes into the hangar, so the stormtroopers gather around that blast door. They bring out this fucking massive cannon and load it with this cool looking artillery, Star Wars shells, and it's yeah, dope. So they're all there, and then Reva comes down when they're all there, and they just start blasting it with the cannon.
Yeah.
And so Roku's still trying to open the hangar, and he's like, shit, I can't do it. And Leia's like, I can go into the wall and check it out. And he's like, that's retarded. How old are you? And Obi-Wan's like, I trust her. And it's like, okay, whatever.
It's Maxi Big, the Force.
Yeah, we're all going to die anyway. Fucking go crazy. So they're like, fine, she can go into the wall. So she's doing that. And Obi-Wan's like, is this where he goes? How long will it take to open the hangar? He's like, maybe 3 hours. He's like, you have one.
Yeah.
That might have been earlier. But it's a cool
like
line.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's good. It reminds me of Star Trek. Whenever every time they're like, Scotty, how long on the engines? And he's like, I'm giving her all she's good, Captain. We've only got 25 minutes. He's like, make it 30. And he's like, what the fuck is that? How am I going to do that? I just told you. But anyway, so Obi-Wan checks his little communicator from that we saw in the first episode.
Yeah.
And it's beeping like he has a missed call. And he's like, I hope it's not another fucking vehicle
Robocall.
warranty.
Yeah.
So he goes into this cave to check his call log, and a projection of Bail Organa pops up, and he's like, I haven't heard from you, and I can't get in contact with you. That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
He's like, I really hope my kid's not dead, but I'm going to go check on Luke, just to make sure. I'm going to check on Luke on Tatooine.
With his Uncle
with
Owen.
Uncle Owen. Did you get all that? So, yes. So he's like, all right, cool. Shuts off his projector. Tala comes up, and he's like, oh, shit. But she's like, I didn't hear nothing, but, now that we're all going to die, I'll give you a little backstory. And she starts telling him that, like, when she was an officer, there were, like, four sensitive families or something that she had rounded up. And then she just watched them all get killed. And she's like, yeah, there were 14 people and 6 of them were children. It was like, oh, fuck, that's dark. So I like that, because what we see of the Empire are just bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
At least we get to hear that they do fucked up stuff. And it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So now that she's given her backstory, she's like, and I'm 1 day from retirement. It's a very heavy-handed, like, she's not going to make it. She's like,
we'll talk more about that when this comes up, because I have thoughts.
Yeah.
About
and she shows her holster, and she's like, here's all the notches for every mission I get through. I always make one for every mission I get through. Can't wait to do it for this one. And it's like, oh my God, okay. So that scene ends. The troops are still blasting the door, so everybody runs up with their weapons and shit to prepare. And fucking Roku's just got the Chewie gun. He's got the fucking yeah. And it's like, okay, cool. And Obi-Wan's like, I'm gonna buy time. And they're like, go ahead, dude, whatever. Yeah. So he goes to the door, and he can talk to Reva through the door. And he's like, ooh, you seem like you take this very personally, and did you know? And I forget exactly how it goes down.
It's a weird conversation.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
it is.
Yeah.
And he pretty much like figures out that she. Oh no, I remember. Okay, he was like, when you talked to me in the hangar, you said Darth Vader is Anakin. What the fuck? And I'm glad they addressed it.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my big issues with it. But addressing it, I'm glad they covered that and didn't just leave it. Yeah. So he's like, why did you know that? I don't think Vader wants people to know that.
Yeah.
And so he starts putting her story together like all of the audience did by episode 2 of the show.
Yeah. It's a, what the fuck is it, Goodwill Hunting moment where he's like, this is your life and this is why you're fucked up.
There's a few Goodwill Hunting moments in this series where they just fucking construct these people's lives themselves.
Yeah.
Master detectives over here. But, we're dumb. We're saying like he's stupid for not figuring it out, but he's too smart for figuring it out.
Yeah.
We're stupid. But anyway, we see a flashback. Reva's not telling him this. We just see Reva have this flashback of her as a youngling, and she sees Anakin, like Hayden Christensen, fucking killing younglings with the 501st behind him. He's mowing them down, swiping kids. And I'm assuming this is the moment at the beginning of the episode where they were like, hey, you might see a grown man killing children.
Yeah.
But, so then she starts telling her backstory after that flashback.
Yeah.
Which, I kind of wish they didn't start the series with Order 66.
Yeah.
Because it makes this setup too obvious, Yeah. Like, they're not just going to,
because
unless you're a bad filmmaker.
It came out of nowhere in the first episode, because then you're like, that's a weird place to start.
Right, and it's led to nothing until now.
Yeah.
5 episodes in of a 6-episode series. So I would have not even done it, personally.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But, it was there, so what are you going to do? But it kind of blows this twist. So then Reva starts giving her backstory, and what is a pretty interesting twist that I didn't really see coming is that she's like, or Obi-Wan is like, you're not working for Vader, you're hunting him. And she's like, So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm like that she's just kept her like, it's revenge has been her whole thing, not trying to just embrace and forget that she was a Jedi, but to, like, avenge her family that got slaughtered.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Well, and it's like, that's her motivation, not being a Jedi. Like, she doesn't care about, like, the
like,
light
she
side.
still
She's
has
like,
embraced
I don't give
the
a
dark
fuck.
side.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So anyway, she gets all upset when he figures out that she's hunting Vader, and she just gets her lightsaber out and fucking cuts through the blast door.
Yeah.
And it opens up, and it's like, what the fuck? What was the cannon for? Why didn't you just lead with that?
It's like the battering ram cannon in The Last Jedi. It's like, why did you need that? I don't know.
Yeah.
With Death Star tech or whatever it was.
No, it's like, you just could have done that. All right. If I was a soldier, I would have been like, this is bullshit,
why didn't we lead with that?
Yeah, you made us set up. They had to carry all that heavy ass equipment.
Yeah.
Stupid ass officer. Anyway, so the blast door gets open and everything. Everyone starts shooting and it's pandemonium and people are getting blasted. You see stormtroopers getting shot. You see a refugee guy just get like stood up against a wall and shot through the chest. It's like, oh shit. So it's, they're getting blasted, and not the good kind. They retreat back through the tunnels. Like there's these tunnels that lead to the actual hangar.
Yeah.
So they're retreating through these back tunnels and shooting and running, and then we cut to the hangar, and Hodge is in there, and he's like, Obi-Wan tasked Hodge to watch Leia while she's in the wall.
Yeah.
So he's like, Leia, hurry up, What, I don't know what you're doing, but hurry up.
He's saying some sassy lines. I like it.
Yeah,
And
then we cut back to the tunnels and the bonk bot's there, and he's fucking giving him the beans.
Yeah.
he's fucking punching soldiers and shit. We get to see him like, because he was teased
he had
in
a
episode
blaster
3
too.
Yeah,
like he's fucking murking people.
Yeah, shooting, hitting, fucking. He's doing work. And Tall is shooting too. But then they both get shot. Like Bonkbot starts getting shot up. Tala gets shot in like the stomach, and then it starts getting all like slow mo. And Obi-Wan's like Tala, and she like pulls her hand away, and there's blood.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah,
because it's never been like. I in like A New Hope, Obi-Wan cuts off a guy's arm and there's blood. That's like the only other time.
The only other thing I can think of is in The Force Awakens when there's that stormtrooper who like
wipes the handprint. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
and that's true. He probably got shot with a blaster.
Yeah,
all right,
it is weird though. Like we haven't seen that really be a thing before. But I guess mostly people who are wearing like armor are getting shot though. Like in the Clone Wars and stuff, it's usually yeah. I don't know. That's
but she's got blood, and everyone's sad, and then she like embraces the bonk bot pretty much, and they're like huddled up, and the stormtroopers are coming, and she's like, "May the Force be with you," and Obi-Wan's like, "No," and she like pulls out a thermal detonator and fucking suicide bombs in the tunnel, and it's like, damn.
So my problem with this is. I don't really care.
No, I don't either.
And I'm like, because we sort of talked about this before we started recording. Like, there are so many elements of this show that on paper, you'd think, oh, you throw it all together, it should work. Like, she's a very talented actor. Mm-hmm. And by all means, like, I think if it had been written differently or we had, I don't know, more of a connection to this character, it would be more impactful. But as it stands, I was just sort of like, yeah, I knew she was gonna die.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, I know. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, guess who makes it out of this show, and guess who doesn't.
Yeah.
Is all the people you see in A New Hope versus everybody else. One
thing they never would have done this because like I don't think 6 episodes would have been enough time to tell this story. But I think what could have been cool, sort of like, you remember in Clone Wars when Satine dies. Mm-hmm. I think what could have been interesting is if they established that, like, or not established, but have, like, similarities or more similarities between her and Satine and have, like, a possible,
make her a love interest.
Like, maybe, or, like, he's like on the cusp of being like, oh, I noticed these things about her that remind me of Satine. And then in that moment, he's like, oh, I'm in the process of figuring out what those feelings are. And then she's taken away. Yeah. Like, can I love? And it's like, no, you can't. Because they're going to rip everything from you.
It's almost exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking they should have definitely made her like a love interest. If Obi-Wan, has kind of cut himself off from being a Jedi, isn't embracing it anymore, wants to blend in, I don't see why he wouldn't discard the Jedi's rules about love and stuff.
Well, and it's like, even if if anything, like, even if he just is reminded of something about Satine
That's a
and
good
her
idea
and being
too.
like, yeah, like, oh shit, like, in that moment you're like, fuck. Yeah. But no, they didn't.
Yeah, it's just she's, you know.
Yeah.
Oh well. So she booms, and Obi-Wan is all shook. Again, this is a typical Ewan.
Yeah.
In his role as Obi-Wan in the show, he comes back into the hangar, and then Vader on his ship commands everybody to stand down after they've breached the fortress that they have pretty much.
Yeah.
And then we flash back again to Attack of the Clones sparring, and Anakin gets the best of Obi-Wan in this moment, and he drives him to the floor, and Anakin's like, admit you are beaten, So thematically, there it is.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is in this hangar, modern present time,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm going to turn myself in. And everyone's like, the fuck? And he's like, well, I mean, it's what he wants. He wants me. He doesn't want you guys, so fuck it. So he goes to Haja, and he's like, here are my doodads. And he gives him his lightsaber, gives him his communicator, gives him all the stuff.
Yeah.
Which, okay. I mean,
it's weird.
yeah.
It's a weird. I don't know why that.
I don't really either.
Like, it doesn't make any sense if his whole thing is like, yeah, I'll fight him while y'all get away. It's like, why are you giving away?
He's kind of just like, look, I'm gonna go suicide by cop. You guys can,
Oh my
go.
God.
It's like this whole thing is like, I'm not arming myself, but I'm gonna make them get me and probably torture me to death and kill me. It's like, why, man? Like everyone around him is like, are you okay? But So he gives Haja all his stuff, and Leia's still in the fucking vent.
She's been in there for like most of the episode, just like fumbling around. Like we haven't talked about this, but like they keep cutting back to her, like fumbling with the wires.
It wasn't even worthwhile to put in our synopsis.
Yeah,
yeah. She's like,
I don't know where it is. It's like, why the fuck? There's like 1,000 wires in here.
Yep.
What kid is gonna figure that out?
Leia.
Fuck that.
She's so smart.
It's so dumb.
So Leia's still in the vent. Obi-Wan is brought, he's like, I'm going to turn myself in. So he comes out.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers get him, and he's brought to Reva. He's put on his knees, and Reva's, they're stage whispering again in front of all the soldiers.
Classic, yeah.
And he's like, now's your chance, Reva. I'm bringing him here. So you can fucking do your business. So you can finish hunting him. Kill him in front of all these soldiers. And he has like a line that he's like, I'm not, or what is it? I'm not bringing, or you're not bringing Vader here to me.
I'm bringing
Vader
to
to you. Yeah. And it's like Rorschach from fucking Watchmen. Yeah, you're not locked in here with, or I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. He splashes like fry grease on a guy. That's what I thought of. So he goes, all he'll see is me. Or Reva's like, he'll see it coming. He's like, all he'll see is me. And then we have another flashback. And so they're fighting again. They're sparring. And Obi-Wan's getting his posture back. And he's coming back at Anakin, and he goes, your need for victory blinds you. Ah, you get it. So then we go back to the present. Vader arrives. He touches down. And Obi-Wan's like running back through the tunnels.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And when did that happen?
Yeah.
When did they let him go? Why did they let him go?
Yeah.
What is this? So it's weird.
Are the troops still outside the tunnel? Or are they inside the tunnel?
It doesn't make sense. And it's like,
I don't get it.
I guess like a lot of things in the show they just count on, I guess, the audience not paying attention to.
Yeah.
And just like go with the action because we need to set up the next thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it contradicts itself, and it's like, what the fuck? So he's just loose again, running back to the hangar that he's like, I need to stay away from because these innocent people are there. But he's going back, for some reason.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Leia in the vent, and Lola is like, her little robot's like creeping around. And it comes
with her
up,
little red eye.
Yeah. And it attacks Leia, and it's just this kind of clumsy looking It's not good looking. Of just like a 10-year-old trying to swat a tennis ball on a stick on a green screen, you know? She's like, no, stop it.
Yeah.
So she gets the robot and pulls the bolt off of it.
Yeah, the restraining bolt.
Yeah, and it's fine now. The droid's normal. She's like, goody me, I did it. And she opens the hanger. She figures it out, plugs the thing into the thing. Hanger opens up. Obi-Wan runs back into the crowded hangar like it was always his plan. I would be like, dude, what the fuck? What are you doing here? Weren't you doing that?
Yeah.
Where's Vader? Is he here now? He is?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Get out.
What the fuck, dude? But he's back. Goes with all the other people. I don't know why he turned himself in. I do know why, because Disney needed him to tell Reva this stuff.
Yeah.
But they couldn't figure out how to do it without the
yeah,
nonsense
it's
thing.
so weird. Like, I don't understand why we had Obi-Wan escape given the events that happen in the next episode, which we'll get to, because it's like, why even bother?
I agree.
Like, we'd essentially be cutting 10 minutes of the next episode if we did not.
I want to talk about that so bad, but not right now.
We'll get there, yeah.
So, where am I? Fucking, they run through the tunnels, blah, blah, blah. He's back in the hangar, and then they're running back to the ship, like they're all getting into the ship now that the hangar's open. Haja drops Obi-Wan's cell phone, like a goober, and it gets like stepped on and shit. Vader storms in, he rips the doors off and shit. The ship is about to take off, like it's lifting off, and he just fucking one hand grabs it like fucking Starkiller from Force Unleashed, pulls it back down, which is it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And he's ripping it apart with the Force in his hands and shit, and it's like, and this metal's flying everywhere, and it's like, oh shit! But there's nobody inside. I was like, what? And there was another ship right behind it that lifts off and flies away.
Yeah.
But it also, they waited a little too long, in my opinion, to do that. I would say as he's grabbing that one
fly
and pulling it down, then fly.
And then it's like,
not wait for him to finish his business and then fly away and watch him just be like, dang it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't stop the second one. And who the fuck is in the first ship?
Who was just like, I'll take one for the team.
Yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Because
he's the real hero.
Don't even try to tell me some droid or autopilot, because in the next episode, there's a thing you could have done with that, but, So if there's an autopilot for that, then I'm upset at the next episode. If there's not, then I feel bad for this one guy.
Yeah.
It's Wade's brother, Blade.
Yeah.
So
I added a note to this. It reminded me of the fake out in Rise of Skywalker where they're like, he was on another ship. Don't even worry about it. And it's like,
that's not good.
It's bad.
You never want to be reminded of Rise of Skywalker. That's a no. So Vader's all poopy because that ship got away, and then we go into another flashback.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan beats Anakin, and he's like, it's okay, my friend. He's like, you'll get there one day, and hands him his lightsaber and shit. So then we go back to the present. Reva fucking tiptoes like, it's so goofy. She tiptoes up behind him all slow, and then ignites her lightsaber, raises it over her head, and yells as she's swinging. And it's like, bro, you could have, like, we've seen this in the Star Wars movies where if you put your hilt up to somebody and then turn it on,
boop it.
Yeah, just that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could have done that in that time frame.
Yeah.
But it's just stupid. So she's like, wah! And of course she fucking blows it. I mean, what is she gonna kill him? So he comes around and Vader's like, I always knew, youngling. And it's like,
no,
what?
I did like that line. He's like, did you not think I knew who you were, or youngling? And it's like, dude,
yeah,
you just eviscerated her.
It's cool, but it doesn't really make sense why you would fucking let her. I don't know. I guess she was tracking
She's a
Obi-Wan.
pawn. That's all she is.
Yeah, she was tracking Obi-Wan.
And that's even more revealed in like I'll let you do the honors and what happens in a little bit. But, yeah.
But so he's like, did you not think I was smart, dummy?
Yeah.
And he fucking starts like fighting her with the Force. Like she's using the light. She's trying to swing on him with the lightsaber. And he's just fucking brushing it aside with his Force powers and like grabbing her and pushing her back. And it's really cool for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it goes on and on and on. And then it's like Vader, there's this whole choreography and Vader's like bobbing and weaving and trying limboing. And it's just like, it starts looking really fucking goofy. Like really dumb.
Yeah.
But, you know, he like pulls the lightsabers out of her hands and then just kind of throws one back at her. And he's fucking with her. But
yeah.
But it's kind of overkill. Like, I don't see that. I see Vader just being like...
Yeah.
But I guess they needed their action scene. So, Reva gets beaten, Vader just fucking whoops her ass. And as Vader is getting ready to stab her, she's like singing Anakin and Darth Vader
cool
simultaneously.
shot, yeah.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of like her flashback of him stabbing younglings and then Vader stabbing her now.
Yeah.
But it also begs the question, like, how did Anakin not kill her?
Yeah.
She has a line where she goes like, I hid among the dead bodies and felt them get cold, and it's like, damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty dark, but in her flashback it definitely doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
But so he stabs her through the stomach, and then as she's laying on the ground like, oof, ouch, my bones, the Grand Inquisitor, the real one, the boy from Rebels, comes in. Yeah. And he's like, revenge is a very good medicine for not dying.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
I don't know why, but like I really like this a lot because he's like, yeah, I'm back, bitch. Wait, you thought
fabulous.
You were important? It's like, no. I'm the real shit.
It's kind of funny. Like, it's in his character to just be
yeah.
You dumb stupid head.
Yeah.
And it's just like, poor Qui-Gon, man. Like, now everybody's just coming back from stomach wounds. Like, it's like you stubbed your toe.
He didn't have revenge.
You're right.
He's like, I'm a good boy.
He lost the will to live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's on the ground, and the Grand Inquisitor's like, I'll just take that, like pulls her magnet badge off, and puts it back on himself. And but then they don't kill her. Why? And they leave her lightsaber right next to her.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I have no explanation for this.
It's dumb. I'll tell you why. Because they needed her, and they didn't want to come up with a more, a fucking smarter way to keep her alive. They were just like, yeah, Vader just doesn't kill her. Why?
Yeah, it would have been better, I think, to like make him think that he had, like, she's like fucking knocked out cold or whatever, and he's like, yeah, she's dead probably.
I don't really know. I don't really know how.
Whereas like she's still like,
yeah,
I'm probably gonna be okay.
I don't know. Have her ambush Vader with Obi-Wan or something, and then she gets away with Obi-Wan pretty wounded.
Yeah, but then the problem with that is what happens, and then
you'd have to rewrite stuff. But it's right now it just doesn't make sense, for that to be a thing. But so they just leave her with her weapon. They're like, yeah, whatever. See ya. She's probably
they wouldn't have even.
She probably wouldn't want revenge, right?
To do that necessarily, because like they're all leaving in a hurry. And they had all those lightsabers chilling in the hangar. So she could have easily just as, like, if they took her lightsaber, she could have just taken one of those.
Yep. Yeah. That would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But they still should have killed her.
Yeah.
Like, if her whole life was dedicated to tracking these people down and killing them. If somebody was trying to do that to me, I'm like, dog, I'm sorry, but you got to go. Like, I'm not going to leave you around because I think you're going to come back and try to kill me if I leave you alive.
Yeah.
But... Anyway, we cut to Obi-Wan and the rest of the refugees as they're on the ship, and they're going out, but they have no hyperdrive. It's been damaged or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Reva, and she's crawling in the sand, gets her lightsaber, sees the fucking hollow thing in the sand, and she like activates it, and since it's been stepped on, it's just all squeaky, but it's like, child, Tatooine, the boy, Owen.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god.
She's like, that guy from the first episode.
Yeah. Like I said, these planets in Star Wars is a small town.
Yeah.
That's a planet. But, so Obi-Wan, cut back to Obi-Wan, and he looks shook yet again. And, they're like, what's wrong? And he's like, I don't know. And then it cuts to like the moisture farm on Tatooine at night, the Lars homestead, and then it shows a young Luke Skywalker sleeping in his bed.
Yeah.
And then the episode ends. All right, episode 6. So this one starts again with another, like before the episode starts, there's another warning about the content, and I don't really know why. In this one, there's not really child murder.
Yeah.
But again, it's probably for the Star Wars babies that shit their diapers anytime Obi-Wan doesn't act like they want him to, and they send death threats out.
In the comic from 2003,
yeah.
I shouldn't talk.
Well, look, we can do it here, but I'm saying like the ones that are just fucking like obnoxiously aggressive with it,
Like
and
all
just, like,
Disney era Star Wars is garbage.
I wish death on Deborah Chow's children, and it's like
they're gonna fire Kathleen Kennedy. Did you hear that?
It's like, shut up! Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
So I guess that's for those guys that they might be upset. Okay, so episode starts. We open on Tatooine. They're in like a marketplace, and the fat ass from the first episode on like, it's a half portion pay,
3/4 portions.
He's just throwing people's water on the ground, just being a dick. And then this
Unkar Plot, that was his name.
You're fucking right.
I didn't
Unkar
remember
Plot.
that in the first episode.
Fucking Unkar Blot, his cousin, is throwing people's water around and just being a fucking all-around asshole.
I should go to fucking my cousins on what's the planet Ray's on? Jakku. My cousins on Jakku.
They don't have this shit water. So he's being a dick, and then this hooded figure just kind of like throws him aside, and it's Reva, and she's at the water vendor, and she goes like, "Where's Owen?"
She's looking a little disheveled.
She is looking
Her
disheveled.
hair's different now a little bit.
Yeah, she's not having a good day. She didn't get her beauty sleep.
Yeah.
But she's like, she goes to the vendor and she's like, "Where's Owen?" Which, watching, when I first saw episode 5, I didn't even notice that they actually said Owen, like in the hologram.
Yeah.
It was really garbled, so I was like, how the fuck does she know that? But I guess if it was in the garbled
It
shit,
was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how she knows. And she says, "Where's Owen?" And the vendor goes, "Who? We're on a whole planet." No, that doesn't happen, unfortunately. So then we cut to pretty much like the fucking opening to A New Hope.
Yeah, I like
which was
that.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Well, I
some
liked it because they
member-berries,
kind of
like,
embraced it, and they put like a remixed
score,
classic score on it. You know, that like dun 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 dun, that kind of thing, and it's like the lasers are shooting. Fucking. So it's A New Hope opening, and the Obi-Wan ship is fleeing from Darth Vader's Star Destroyer, and they're doing fucking like serpentine crazy like turns and shit, and there's space flak going off. There's explosions right near them. And then we cut to inside the cabin, and they're all just chilling. They're just sitting and reading books and fucking having a nice little flight, getting their peanuts. It's like, okay, no turbulence, sick.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fucking Roku is like, we got to get out of here, but shit's going whack. We have a bad motivator. And it's like, all I could think of is the robot chicken.
Oh, I was going to talk about fucking... I think the robot chicken thing was referencing it when Luke's like, "It's our 2 unit is a bad motivator."
Exactly. So Luke does that in A New Hope, and then like robot chicken, there's this robot just like drinking a soda. He's sitting back, and he's like, "Get to work," and he's like, "I'm tired, man. You give me another soda." And he's like, "Uncle Owen, this droid has a bad motivator." So it has a bad motivator, dude. It just doesn't want to keep flying him. So Obi-Wan's like, and we just get a somber look at all the space refugees for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
Or not a few minutes, but it's an extended shot of these just poor people. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, then we come back to Tatooine. Owen and Luke are in a shop that's very reminiscent of like Watto's store. That's what it made me think of.
Yeah, and we're going to see Watto again one day. It's gonna happen.
Day,
it's gonna
happen. Watto story.
Not that, but I feel like at some point that's gonna be like a thing where he's like in the Mandalorian, and he's like,
the space Jew immune to Jedi magic.
Yeah.
What a stupid... I talk about the laziness Disney takes, but can I just fucking say that's the worst fucking... Oh, it doesn't work on me.
Oh yeah, no, it's
I'm
like
a Toydarian.
People are like, George Lucas infallible. It's like
No. It just doesn't. It's my species.
Let's talk about his portrayal of like Japanese people
and Jewish people, dude.
Yeah.
Watto was the money. He literally looks like those
things don't work on me.
He looks like those propaganda posters.
It's bad, but I do think we're gonna see him one day.
Oh God.
And he'll have his weird hat that he had.
His like World War I doughboy helmet.
Yeah.
I liked him. I actually liked his cameo in Attack of the Clones, yeah. Where he's like, oh, I pimped you out, remember? And Anakin's like, ugh.
I sold your mother.
Yeah.
Don't
you love me?
It's great.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
But no, so they're not Watto's store.
I think there was a comic where, like in the old canon, where Vader went back to Tatooine and like killed him.
That would be amazing. Oh shit! If that happened in this show, I would lose my mind.
Like, yeah, you're a little problematic.
That'd be awesome.
Oh jeez.
So they're in Blotto's store, and it's this just kind of like fuzzy dude with glasses or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little lame.
Weird looking alien.
Yeah.
And the vendor that Rebel was just beating up comes in and he's like, Owen, I have a warning. And it's like, oh. And then it cuts back to Obi-Wan and he's like, listen, remember that suicide plan I had where I would
the
just,
last episode that could have
dip and die?
It could have perfectly bridged these two episodes. What if I do that now, 5 minutes into this?
What if I do it again?
Yeah.
And Roku's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Or do whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
What fucking whatever. But he goes to Haja and he gives him the kind of the same talk he gave him in the last episode about.
Well, that's what's even weirder is he's like, yeah, look after her.
Right.
Like I said last
it's just
episode.
a rehash. Yeah. But it's done better here than it was in the last episode because he's talking to him and he's like, you know, I trust you to watch Leia, and Haja's like, you trust a cheater and a liar and a crook, and he's like, yeah, I do. And the theme, like the Obi-Wan theme song for this show, is kind of like it starts slowly, and then it swells more when Haja's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be that guy, and it worked well there,
Yeah.
And that's saying something because they use that theme all the fucking time in the show. So when I notice that it's done well, it's like, oh,
yeah,
okay, cool. It wasn't just all filler. So he gives Haja's speech, and then we don't see him again. It's kind of a waste.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, it's like, why not? Why even have him?
Yeah.
It led to nothing. There's no payoff.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Then we cut back to Tatooine and Owen's on his farm, and he gets back to the Lars stead, and he's like, Baru, get the guns. He goes, we got to get ready because they're coming. And Baru's like, I told you, Bubba. She's like, oh, what? Where's Obi-Wan? And he's like,
we got to get the posse together.
Yeah.
She says something like that, and they're like, no, this is like a family thing.
Right.
We're not fighting off Tusken Raiders.
And she's like, where's Ben? And Owen's like, he's gone. And she's like, oh, wow. Good job. And it's like, yeah, Owen, you're kind of a dick. You broke his life savings for that toy.
Yeah.
So he's like, shut up, woman, and get me Old Faithful. And they pull out fucking Pappy's blunderbuss from the interior of their wall.
Fucking Klieg's rifle.
It's like shit you'd see on fucking, what's the Monkey Island video game? It looks so stupid. So they pull out this just piece of shit, and they're like, we're ready. No. So then we get back to Obi-Wan, and he's on the ship, and he's saying goodbye to Leia. He's like, I'm gonna go kill myself again, Leia. I know you think you keep getting used to me dipping on you, but this time is for real, I promise.
Yeah.
And she's like, you said you'd come back. And he's like, well, I lied. And he gives her Tala's blaster, or not the blaster, sorry. No. He gives her the holster with the marks on it.
That is funny, though, because she's like, I thought you were going to give me a blaster. He's like, no, you're a kid.
Yeah, that was funny. That made me exhale out of my nose. It did. I promise. I went. But how? How does he have it? She blew
Yeah,
herself
I
up.
don't know.
She exploded.
Yeah.
Did he go back and raid her fucking bottom half of her corpse?
Like Knights of the Old Republic, you're looting.
Yeah, and
looting
it's
them.
like unsinged.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, she blew up. Anyway,
Yeah.
he goes off and he's in like a storage bay, and he tries talking to Qui-Gon again. He's like, Master, and he's like, you know, this ends now, pretty much. He's like, I would like your guidance, but this is over now, and I'm gonna settle it once and for all. It's like, all right, cool. And then fucking typical Disney fashion, you know, Roku just comes in and he's like, oh, you're not doing this to save us. You're doing this to fight Vader again, aren't you? And it's like, oh my God. Yes, I got that. Remember, go back to our first episode. Remember when I was like, Disney loves putting fucking stupid blank characters that have no purpose to be like, are you doing this thing? Yes. Jesus Christ. It's so annoying. So I had to eye roll there, but whatever.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's like, yes, dude, you did it. You figured it out.
Yeah.
Whatever. So then we cut back to the outside of the ship, and this escape ship dips out. This is what I'm saying. You can't say there's autopilot in the last episode, because then he just could have done that here for the pod.
Yeah.
Maybe in A New Hope they were like, oh, there's no life forms on that pod. Maybe they can still scan it, and they're like, oh, there's an old guy on the pod.
Yeah.
Whatever. So the pod dips out.
Well, it's Vader sensed him on the pod. Because that's the whole thing is like in
right.
Return of the Jedi, he's like, well, Luke is like, hey, Vader's on that ship. And Vader's like, Luke's on that ship. Let him pass.
All right.
It's an old code, but it checks out.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. So this escape ship comes out, and Vader is like, Obi-Wan's in that ship. And the Grand Inquisitor is like, and the refugees that help Jedis escape are on that ship.
And there may be Force-sensitive people on that ship.
We should follow that ship. And Vader's like, did you really just fucking open your mouth on my bridge? And he's like, we're following Obi-Wan's pod. And then that's the last we see of the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, I don't... Because, like, we've talked about bouncing back and forth between plots. And, like, I don't necessarily think this would have been the right call, but if you had Vader be like, I'm going to take the shuttle to follow Obi-Wan to this planet.
You guys follow
You chase them, and then we see that chase continuing, and somehow what's his face? Roku figure something out to get them out.
We would have had closure.
We would have had, like,
on a lot of
heroic
stuff.
moment for them, you know.
Podja
like,
was still there. Grand Inquisitor was still involved.
Yeah.
That would have been easy to do.
Yeah.
Could have had, no, it's just so unfinished with those characters. They literally don't give a fuck about these side characters and about wrapping them up.
Yeah.
They're just gone, you know. So it's weird. Anyway, we cut to Tatooine. Owen is like, Luke, hide. Puts him in the shelter, and he's like, the sand people are coming.
Yeah.
and Luke's like, I'm not scared. And I'm like, great, we get another Leia. But whatever. Leaves him in there. Cut back to Vader, and he's like, prepare my ship. Cut back to Obi-Wan. There's a lot of fucking cuts now. Like,
and that's
for the rest of this
one thing
episode.
I'll say is, like, if we had done the thing where we're cutting back to them in the ship, it's like that would have been even more cuts. And it's like, that's the
you're right.
That's the thing that, like, sort of would make that not so good.
You're right.
But
so we're getting into super hardcore cut territory now with this episode.
yeah.
Obi-Wan, you know, he's flying into this planet. Vader's ship is following him, and it's the Epsilon troop carrier or whatever. The cool looking
the
three-winged
shuttle
one. Yeah, the Imperial shuttle.
Yeah.
Looks cool. So they're landing on this dark rocky planet. And so Obi-Wan touches down, and Lola's in the cockpit, the little robot.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
And he's like, "Oh, you," and he's like, "Hee, stay here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, is that droid gonna come back to do something?"
Yeah. It was
But no.
strange. We'll talk about why that's there later, but because
but it doesn't make sense.
It's stupid.
So he's like, "All right, stay in the cockpit, Lola," and then then we cut again to Reva, and she arrives at the farm, and it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Cut back to Vader landing, and his shuttle opens, and Obi-Wan's standing there to meet him, and Vader comes out. And it's really cool that we see the perspective switch from the third episode of, like, before, it was the thumbnail with Vader standing there ready to meet Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Now it's Obi-Wan ready to meet Vader.
Yeah.
That's really cool thematically, and I cannot believe that a fucking side character didn't pop out of the rocks and go, Obi-Wan, look at you! You're meeting him now! Isn't that growth on your part? I'm surprised that Disney could resist it.
Well, and, like, my whole thing with this, again, talking about, like, there are so many really good elements, and, like, that's one of the things where I'm like, Deborah Chow, like, hot bang, like, that's really cool, like, thematically. Like, I love that. That's so
when
awesome.
this show wants to be good, it's great.
Yeah.
But that's not that often, which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
So, Obi-Wan's ready to meet him. He's way more fucking confident now.
Yeah.
And, Vader's like, are you ready to fucking die, pretty much? And Obi-Wan's like, I will do what I must, which is a fucking, the line from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And then he does the fucking pose with his fingers out, and he's like pointing a lightsaber behind him.
Yeah.
And it's like the prequel stuff from Revenge of the Sith there was great. Like, I was like, hell yeah, Obi-Wan. And then they start dueling. Cut. Why? I was so upset. I literally, like, my roommate he came in and out of this episode. It was Ian. But he sits on the couch and he's like, oh shit. And he sees them fighting. And then it immediately cuts and he's like, damn it. And I had to pause it to be like, I fucking know, dude. This is what I've been talking about in my podcast. They just fucking love to just cut shit that they've been building.
Yeah.
Stop it! Let it fucking play out. Oh my god. Do you know how it's like blue balls for your brain? It's like you've been hyped up, they've built it well.
Yeah.
It's climaxing, and then it switches to another scene that isn't action and has to build again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you've not only made me dislike this scene already that you cut to, you've also neutered the last scene of its impact. Like, when we cut back to it.
Yeah, and, like, so my whole thing, like, sort of talking about that, like, we're at the point where the action is, like, starting for their fight, but then we're going to Reva where it's like, it still has to build up. Like, sort of a parallel I think about is, like, in The Last Jedi, you have the scene where it's like the execution in when they're on the Star Destroyer, it's like Finn and Rose about to get their heads fucking chopped off, and then Kylo and Rey are like pulling the lightsaber, and at the same time, fucking what's her face,
Rose?
No, not Rose. The one who has the who's piloting the ship.
Oh, the Holdo?
Holdo, yeah. You have all three of them like in like going at the same pace, like leading up to that moment when she goes light speed through the ship, and it's like all of them in that moment together. Like, it's sort of like it's the
more
perfect
cohesive
execution of that sort of, I guess,
because they all keep the same pace. Like, even though you're switching a scene, it's still like the momentum isn't halted.
Yeah.
In this, it's just like fucking whiplash. Like, like there's no action, and it's characters I don't care about. Compared to an Obi-Wan Vader duel that they hyped up the whole fucking series, and that's pretty much what everybody was watching this for.
Yeah.
So it's just like, god damn it, dude. That shit is so frustrating. But anyway, so we cut from them dueling to Reva's in the farm, and she's walking through the house, and then Owen and Beru pop up, and they start blasting with their fucking machine gun shotguns, dude. Like, they're just rapid firing these blasters, and it's like, are there any shitty blasters in Star Wars, or are they all like, they just change shapes?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see some like Fallout 4 muskets where you have to wind it like a fucking Jack in the Box and shit. I want to see shit guns, but there just never are. They're all fucking super capable.
Yeah.
Whatever. So they're blasting, and then we cut back from that back to the duel, and Obi-Wan's like doing well in the duel, pretty much. He's holding his ground way better than we saw in episode 3.
Yeah.
And he like breaks a fucking rock spire, tries to hit Vader with it, and Vader's like, "Oh, yeah,
He's like, you're a little bitch.
He's like, good for you, bud. You're doing all right, but fuck you." And then he just fucking, shoots the rock spire away, and then like earthquake force moves the ground under Obi-Wan to like break apart, and fucking he falls into this crevice, and then Vader just starts fucking throwing rocks on top of him and burying him alive.
Yeah, and I love when Vader does like that. Like, it just reminds me of like in Empire when he's throwing shit at Luke and Luke's like, I'm a little bitch, I can't do anything.
He's just getting beat up and Vader's just watching him.
He's like,
It's cool. I liked it too because we get to see a lot of like anger on Vader's part. He's very emotional, like in his ways, in the way he's talking and fighting, and that's cool. Also, like, when they're dueling, he's fucking, like, Vader's, like, pulling rocks and shit. And at one point, he sweeps Obi-Wan's legs with a boulder. And I'm like, Obi-Wan just shattered his fucking tibia. That is not... You don't just get up from that.
That's how they explain why he's so slow in A New Hope.
Bro.
That's why the fight's so slow.
It was a full-force boulder, dog.
Yeah.
His leg is in 3 pieces. It's longer than it should be. But anyway, Vader buries him. And is like... I knew you sucked, and then, leaves.
Yeah.
We cut back to Owen, and he's got the fucking, like, trash compactor stick that they use in A New Hope to block the
that was
the compactor.
That was weird, yeah.
Yeah, so he's holding this stick. Reva's got a fucking lightsaber, and Owen is hand-to-hand standing his ground and, like, beating Reva up with this stick. And they're
she,
like trading
cuts
blows.
it in half, though,
yeah, she does.
Point, right? Yeah.
I mean, she still beats him.
Yeah.
But Owen, like,
I will say, she's
pretty all right.
She's been stabbed through the abdomen, so she's not in, like, peak fighting form.
She's the Force.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
So, drama, there has to be drama, and they have to, whatever. So, that's not my big gripe with it. It's just kind of goofy. It makes me laugh. So Owen's doing all right, and then she just fucking like pimp slaps him off the little fucking rail they're on, or the walkway.
Yeah.
And he's on the ground, and he's like, "Baru, go run!" Yeah. And Baru goes into Luke's hiding hole, and she's like, "Luke, run!" And Luke runs away, and Reva sees Luke running, and Reva gives chase across the desert. Cut back. Obi-Wan is alive in the rubble. And he's buried under there. Surprise, But he starts hearing and seeing these, like, flashbacks from the series of just, like... It's not, like, coherent one-by-one things. It's, like, it's all compiled. Like, it's all on top of each other of all these voices talking shit, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And he sees flashbacks of, like, Luke and Leia, pretty much the kids. And he's like, I have to protect them. And, he gets all motivated and blasts the fucking... His motivator gets fixed. He blasts the fucking rocks away from how he's buried. And then we cut to, like, Vader walking back to his ship. And he's just like, I smell something. And then Obi-Wan just comes up and fucking, like, starts dueling him again. And he's kind of, like... He's in peak form now. Yeah. And he like, starts winning... forces Vader against this, like, rock, and then, like, lifts up just this fucking, like, huge arsenal of rocks. Yeah. And it's like the scene in The Last Jedi where...
lifting rocks.
Yeah. Where Rey opens the the path.
Yeah, same energy.
For them to leave the hangar. Yeah. And I just remember everybody being like, how can she do that and no other Jedis have been able to use the Force that well and she's a Mary Sue? And it's like, well, now, here you go. Here's Obi-Wan doing it. Yeah. But Obi-Wan does this whole, like, Christ pose with the rocks, and then just starts fucking stoning Vader. Yeah. Like, chucking these fucking rocks at him. Yeah. And I think he's also like, no, not yet. Not yet. But he's just stoning the fuck out of him. And it's like, God damn, dude. Vader's kind of like fighting his way back towards Obi-Wan. Yeah. And then we cut scenes again to Reva looking for Luke in the cliffs. Cut back to Obi-Wan, and he's still whooping ass. And it's like, I think these cuts are just, they literally only served a purpose to restart the fight in a new location. Yeah. Because, like, every time it cuts and comes back, they're in a different area.
So I'm trying to remember, in Revenge of the Sith, they they cut between locations a lot in their fight on Mustafar, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, no, they're cutting back and forth between Palpatine and Yoda. That's what it is. Okay,
But they still set up when these locations change. Like,
yeah, it feels
they're in
like
the control room.
It feels like cohesive.
They
like
fuck up shit in the control room.
Yeah, yeah.
They're on the walkways. You see the shit fucking up from when they were in the control room.
And then the walkways fall
Then
down
the walkways
into the lava.
since that shit's fucked up, lava's popping up.
Yeah.
It breaks this thing, and then they have to get away from the lava, and they're on the mound.
You're right. Yeah.
I think all that's I think it's all pretty goofy and drawn out, but at least it sets it up. Like, at least it builds on top of each other, and you can see logically how it proceeds.
Yeah.
In this, they're just in a new area doing a new thing.
Yeah.
But so Obi-Wan cuts back to Obi-Wan. He's whooping ass. He fucking like breaks Vader's control panel on his chest and shit. Just beats the shit out of it. And I'm like, oh shit, what did that? Was that his toothpaste dispenser? Like, what was that? And then he just is like, boom, 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 slices his head, and cuts his helmet open. And so Vader's on his knees, and Obi-Wan's beating him, pretty much. And then it's fucking rebels.
Do you know what I would have liked? And they would not have done it. But do you remember in The Force Unleashed, the ending? Like, it's more than just like a gash in his helmet.
Yeah.
It's like, you see like one of his robot arms and legs, and like half of his face is like visible. Dude, if they had done that, that would have been sick as fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just like, here's the thing with Star Wars, which bothers me, and it's bothered me for a minute, but like, it doesn't seem like they have any more original ideas at all. Like, even if he did that, it would be The Force Unleashed.
I'm okay with it.
And if he cut off his arm, but then saw that he was giving way to hatred, it would be Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
If he cut his helmet open, like he does in the show, and sees him and talks to him, it's Rebels.
Star Wars Rebels. Yeah.
All this shit is so fucking overdone that it loses a lot, and it still impacts. There's still moments, but it's like, dude, they have really, like, they've wrung the fuck out of this series, like, as a whole, of fucking Star Wars. Like, it's you don't see original stuff really anymore.
When it's hard, like, even going into, like, expanded universe stuff, like, it's hard even, like, I don't know how they would ever do stuff, like, earlier than Phantom Menace, because it's, like, so much
Do
time.
the Old Republic.
But I'm saying they've done that, though, and it's, like, how do you, like... Because there's like 2 RPGs and an MMO's worth of content, and comic books and novels, all covering that time period. And granted, like, it's a little easier to, like, I guess be like, oh, well, most people probably haven't read or played those, like, in sort of modern, like...
It just feels like what characters are popular? Han Solo, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader. Okay, fucking... take those characters and then put them in a mediocre thing. And it's like, well, what do we do for the plot? I don't know, just look at the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
What do Star Wars fans like? They like Star Wars. Do Star Wars. So there's not... This stuff is getting really old. Like, I don't know if I'll ever feel that wonder. And I was a kid, I get that. But there's not like wonder anymore to Star Wars. It's just kind of like, oh, here's Star Wars again. Yep. The Mandalorian did a good job. There was interesting, unique things happening there. I think that's the last time I was really like, oh, fucking Star Wars. Like, oh, fuck yeah. I was feeling it. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent, but it's the recycling is really fucking stacking on me.
I don't know. For me, I feel like there are, like... And again, sort of to your point, like, they're always going to be like, you can't relive, like, your childhood.
No.
But there are flashes of it. Like, I think one of the moments that really sort of, like, stands out to me that I think back on a lot is, like, in Bad Batch, strangely enough, even though the show itself, pretty mediocre overall, but, like, the last, is it episode or 2 episodes, when you see Kamino being destroyed, and it's like, the halls are empty. Like, it's this thing we've seen between movies and shows a lot. Like, there are some, like, stunning things that they can do from, like, a storytelling perspective.
And
like,
it's
in
unique.
those moments, you're like, damn, dude, like, they fucking nailed it in those moments. But yeah,
Yeah, well, when you do things off the beaten path, like, what if we had a commando unit of clones, and let's go play with that, and they can all do their own unique things and stuff. You know, when you have, like, let's fight Darth Vader again. Okay, what the fuck are we going to do to make it unique?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it is what it is. So, back to the show. Fucking Obi-Wan cuts the helmet open, and they're standing there, you know, Vader's on his knees, and Obi-Wan, like, sees Anakin again, and he says, he's like, Anakin, and it's Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
And he's, like, responding, and it's, like, half, it sounds like Hayden, and then you get cut in with Vader's
again,
voice.
back to the Rebels thing. Yeah. It's exactly what they did in Rebels, where they combine the voices of James Earl Jones with,
not Hayden Christensen, but the
whoever
guy
it was who
voiced
played Anakin in Clone Wars, where they're doing that thing, and it's like the same here. I'm okay with it.
It's cool. It's a cool effect. You know, like if this was the first time that it happened, I'd lose my mind. Because in Rebel, I'll still rewatch that scene in Rebels. And
it's
fucking
great.
amazing.
It's fucking excellent.
It's beautiful. And I'm like, dude, that's the reason I tell people to watch Rebels. I'm like, I know you don't like it.
There's
like
a lot
Clone
of
Wars.
filler,
It's way more kiddie. It's filler. The animation's worse.
Yeah.
Everything's worse, honestly. But that is one of the all-time fucking highs. That shit gave, it's like you said, like a flash of like, oh my god, like the gravity Star Wars used to have on me.
Yeah.
That shit captured it beautifully. I mean, it built it up for fucking all of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So, if this was the first time I saw that, I'd be like, oh my god.
Oh shit, yeah.
But I still feel like it was way more effective in Rebels.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, Anakin's like responding, and I forget what he says, just something like, you did this, or I don't know.
There's some line where, like, it's something where Obi-Wan says something, and then, like, we have that thing, like, in The Force Awakens where Ben Solo, like, you see the blue...
Oh, I gotta talk about right before that.
Oh.
Because Vader just says something, and Obi-Wan is like, Anakin, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm sorry. And he's like speechless seeing Anakin again. And his eyes are watering. And he's like, that gave me fucking goosebumps. Like when I was watching it.
Yeah.
And I was just shitting on like the whole thing that it's reused and everything.
Yeah.
But like I said, dude, Ewan McGregor is such a fucking amazing actor.
Well, and that's the thing is like it's again, back to the thing of like, there's so many solid like elements to it that just don't combine to make a cohesive.
And it's like he took like Ewan just took this fucking scene that's reused and everything.
Yeah, and even him apologizing is straight up something from The Last Jedi where he's like, I failed, like when Luke is talking to Kylo, and he's like, I failed you and I'm sorry. Like that's it. And he's like, it's that moment where they're like sort of holding off, and he's like, you know, strike me down and I'll always be with you. Mm-hmm. And there's like that moment when he's holding the lightsaber and you're like, what's he gonna do? And he fucking goes to swing. It's like same sort of thing.
Like, god damn it, that fucking the camera on Ewan when he's saying I'm sorry, like he you know, he's had these responses like, I will do what must be done, and this and that. He like breaks
and he's like, no,
I'm sorry, that's all he can say. And it's like, oh, it's fucking heartbreaking. And like, man, I felt it, and I was like, oh, but that's the only scene in this whole fucking episode where I really fucking like was like, oh damn. And that might be my favorite fucking scene in this whole show as a combined.
Yeah,
like that was incredible on his part. Like that's all the credit goes to Ewan for making that work.
Yeah.
But
well, and then that leads into like we have the like pretty much the same shot from Force Awakens where it's like you have like the like sort of like light, like the blue lightsaber on Vader, and then he like lifts up his red one or whatever, and he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did.
Even his eye. Like, did you notice that when Obi-Wan's talking to him and then apologizing, his eye is normal, but when he lifts his red up, you can see the Sith eye?
Yeah. God, it's so, like, it's so cheesy, but that's Star Wars, you know? You're like, fuck you.
And it is Rebels again, where Ahsoka's like,
I'm okay with
my master, like Anakin, and he goes, and he's
like,
She goes, I won't leave you again.
Yeah, and he's like, then you will
die.
Yeah.
And it's like Vader again. Because you see, when she says, I won't leave you again, you see for a minute, like,
yeah, not
Anakin,
this time. Yeah.
Anakin just, like, looks down. And then when he looks back up, it's Vader.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh. So, I still think this scene is better done in Rebels.
Yeah.
But fuck me if Ewan McGregor doesn't give it his best shot.
Yeah.
So Vader, like, rejects him, pretty much. He's like, I killed Anakin, and I'm gonna kill you too, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you. I'll bite your head off. It's like heavy Dark Knight, or the Black Knight vibes from Monty Python for me. When he's just, like, beaten, but is like, hey, I'm gonna beat you. And Obi-Wan just leaves. Leaves him beaten. And I gotta say, it feels good to be right. I remember my predictions in the last episode. Obi-Wan's gonna get his mojo, beat Vader, and then go... No.
Goodbye.
So, it takes a lot of balls to know that I'm right when Vader and Obi-Wan come back in the original trilogy. But I was right.
There's been a lot of memes about, like, the sequel to Kenobi on Disney Plus, and it's like just A New Hope.
Yep. Heavy Assassin's Creed 2 vibes, where it's like, you're the instrument of all my pain. I'm gonna let you live.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you kill, like, a bunch of other people? Yeah, but, like,
we'll get there.
It means more when I let you live. Anyway, so Obi-Wan leaves Vader. We cut to Reva, and she finds Luke in the cliffs. She's pulling him down with the Force, and we're cutting back and forth between her and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan's flying away in his shuttle, but he's sensing that Luke is in danger, and he's like, and, he's seeing these visions, so he hyperdrives it out of there, which, like, good for him, man. He's got some strong connection there. And it's kind of like fucking old men being like, whoa, I just sensed 1,000 million lives were extinguished.
Yeah.
From, like, from A New Hope. But, anyway, he can sense it all the way from wherever the fuck he is, hyperdrives it out of there. Reva's pulls Luke down. She's going to pull her lightsaber out, and she's, like, going to kill him. And I haven't brought this up. Why is Reva doing this at all?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't, like, they don't establish that, like, that Vader, like, would have any interest in these children, Like, so it's like, yeah, I don't understand.
Does she know it's Vader's kid?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
She just kind of saw on a broken hologram that Obi-Wan cares about, that Obi-Wan has a connection to a kid on Tatooine being watched by Owen.
Yeah, I feel like in something they were like, we can't let him find the kids or something.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, but, like, that's a pretty big leap in logic to be like, oh,
why
Vader
is she
can't
doing
find
this?
The kids. Yeah.
What the fuck? Is it to, like, get back
weird.
at Obi-Wan?
It's weird.
They don't explain it. She's just doing it.
And it's like they wanted to get her to the place. Like, is it okay if I just jump? Like,
sure.
A little? Like, they wanted to get her to the point where she's about to kill a kid, and then she is like, oh shit, I'm just as bad as him. Like,
this whole
it was
show,
whatever it takes to get to that moment. And
a lot of the show has been that.
Yeah.
Fuck the logic. We need to get to where we want.
Do you know what I would have liked to see? I would like to see her get to that moment, be conflicted, and be like, oh, am I becoming what I swore to destroy? And then still be like, yeah, I am. Like, if this is what it takes to get power, like, sort of giving into that. And then you have fucking Obi-Wan come and be like, nah, bitch, you're gonna fucking die now. It's like, let her die. It's okay. You can let characters die and be bad people even in the end. Like, and that's like,
they did it real, and
I can't stand that they redeemed her in this. It's
really?
dumb. I hate it. Like, it's okay to be like, no, I hate you. Like, even though, like, you've beaten me, Obi-Wan, like, no, I hate you.
But again, I would have to draw parallels to Rebels, where Obi-Wan beats Darth Maul, and even though he spent his whole life being angry, trying to get revenge, in that last moment, it's still kind of sad, and Darth Maul's like, make sure you avenge us. And it's like, just like that, we've wasted our lives, and we were just these pawns that got played, and it had this impact to it. I could see that in what you described. I could see that with Reva, how, like, she duels Obi-Wan beats her, and then in her last moment she's like, what was this all for?
Yeah.
and then dies. You know,
Yeah.
but that would again be reused from Rebels.
Yeah.
But it would
That's fair,
it
yeah.
would be better than what we got. It's a hard line.
She didn't need to live. I don't know
Yeah.
why she lived. Like,
It's
and that's something
she
sort
didn't
of
need to
like
be in this show, dude.
I don't 100% agree with that, but sort of like in the post show, like, I don't know, people who were involved with the project, they've had interviews and stuff, and originally this was going to be a trilogy of movies before Solo sort of, I don't want to say bombed at the box office. It did fine. It just didn't do...
Did it lose money?
No.
Okay.
No, it made money, but like not enough for them to be like, yeah, spin-off a Star Wars story movies, you know. And
It was also a fucking disaster, like the filming of it.
yeah, the switching directors.
So why
and-
would you expect it to just be this? Like, why would everybody go fucking bound out to see this fucking spin-off of a lukewarm character? Or, well, not lukewarm. Like, people love Han Solo, but fucking his backstory, who cares? Who asked? I don't know. I liked that movie,
Yeah.
but I was never like, oh
It
my
needed
god,
to
they're doing
happen.
Han Solo.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. But
Whatever.
after that happened, they sort of got cold feet and were like, no, we're not going to do it. Even though, like, obviously an Obi-Wan trilogy would have fucking printed money. Because it's fucking Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Like, it would have been fine. And so they sort of, like, took elements from that and put it into the show. And originally the plan was to have Reva die at the end of it, sort of based on like interviews and stuff. They're like, yeah, it's weird that they decided to have her be like redeemed at the end of it, and it's like, yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
It just was lame the whole time, her character. But we'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah.
So I asked why she's going to kill Luke. We don't know. But she's going to kill him. She's raising her hand up with her lightsaber. But she's seeing, like, herself as a youngling
Yeah.
with Luke. Like, the imagery is switching
Luke,
back and forth.
Yeah.
And she's hesitating. And, you know, she still seems like she's going to do it. It cuts back to Obi-Wan, and he arrives at the homestead. And he's, like, looking for Luke. And he's like, where do I go? And they're like, go to the Dune Seas. Like, okay, maybe. But then we see Reva coming back with Luke, like,
Yeah.
in the cradle, like she's just holding him, and she drops him off in front of the parents, and she's all like sad because she didn't get to kill a kid,
This
and
it was my turn.
yeah, drops her lightsaber in the sand,
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan gives her some fucking sage wisdom on now both of our pasts can die. Or
Now
I don't
you
know.
bury your lightsaber here too, and then in a few decades,
Yeah.
someone else will.
It's some hammy speech about like,
Yeah, it's lame.
you've risen above, blah blah blah.
And that's why I'm like, it would have been a lot, like, I would have appreciated it more if she's like, no, I'm not, like, no, I'm not like you, and that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah,
You
I
don't,
agree.
not everyone needs to be redeemed. That's,
Because now what the fuck's she gonna do?
yeah,
what's
it
this
just raises
character?
more questions.
Yeah.
Like, what's she doing this whole time, you know? Yeah.
So, you know, that scene ends. We cut to Vader's castle on Mustafar, and he's in his big stone throne, and he's talking to a projection of Palpatine.
He's looking real poopy
Looking
and...
real old.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, that's, yeah.
I know. But
I like seeing him, though.
Yeah.
I'm like, not clone Palpatine.
Was that Ian
mind
McDermott?
you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Ian McDermott. Yeah.
yeah, he's his eyes are like falling off his face. They look like they're sliding off. But he's talking to Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, I'm sensing a lot of pissed offness over there, Vader. Yeah. He's like, are you good, dog? And Vader's like, I'm fine. And he's like, nah, you should let this one be. He's like,
Yeah.
you've got too much tied into this. Because I like that when Vader buries Obi-Wan and thinks he's dead, he's like, goodbye, master. He
Yeah.
calls him master. But then when Palpatine's like, do you still have feelings? Are you still all hung up? And he's like, no, my master.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so he still is like conflicted with his masters,
Yeah.
which, you know, I like that. And again, Disney didn't have to make a side character say that for me. But Palpatine's like, you let it go.
Yeah.
And Vader's like, and he's sitting on his throne, and the camera just pans out, and it's playing the Imperial theme, like all loud. The classic Vader theme.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, whatever.
I liked it.
Yeah. Now it cuts to Alderaan. Leia's getting dressed like in episode 1 of the series, and she's putting on her clothes, buttoning her hair, and whatever, fucking putting on her gloves and putting on the holster. And so she puts on the holster. The mom comes in. She's like, "The fuck?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "I like it."
Yeah.
No, what the? No. I'd be like, "Take that shit off. Where'd you get that?" "I got it from a war vet who exploded."
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have that.
Picked it up off a dead person.
It just this made me think. This is just a personal story where like my dad had cowboy boots, and when I was a kid, I snuck into his closet and like put them on because I'm like, yeah, I'm a cowboy. And I climbed up on my fence, and it was just like the shitty little beams, and I was holding on to the edge of the fence, and I slipped, and a giant splinter went in my hand, and I was bawling, and it hurt really bad, and that's just what that made me think of.
It's really weird, but okay.
Where it's like she looks like she's wearing like
she's gonna climb on a fence and
adult thing, like she's wearing boots and a holster. It looks like she's dressing up for cowboy.
It's been a Star Wars
That's
story.
right. She looks like she's dressing up to be a cowboy, and I'm like, I remember when I did that and fucked my hand.
Didn't end well. Yeah.
So anyway, now y'all know something more about me. She fucking, her mom's like, I like the blaster, keep wearing it. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So she goes out and she meets Jimmy Smits, and Bail Organa again on the platform, and he's just super convincing as a dad.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, look at you have your little boots, and oh, you got it, girl.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. And a ship's coming down. She's like, what is this, the cousins again? He's like, not quite. And oh, it's Obi-Wan.
I didn't like this at all. It didn't need to happen.
No.
It's fine that because she says goodbye to him on the ship.
Yes.
And that's almost more like depressing, because it's like, oh, you're not going to see him ever again because he dies before you see him. Or like the last moment she sees is like him sacrificing himself.
I feel like
they're
worried the fans would ask too many questions, where it's like, oh, if Leia doesn't know if Obi-Wan's alive, how does she ask in episode 4 or in A New Hope for
but I mean, you could have just as easily been like, yeah, Bail at some point was like, yeah, he's fine.
No, I know, I agree. Yeah. I think it would have I think they should have had Haja like drop her off and talk to her.
Yeah.
Or something. Give him the screen time that they gave here.
Yeah, and that would bring Obi-Wan. Him like sort of full circle and like, I don't know, helping force sensitive people get away. Right. And it's like, yeah, that's what his whole shtick was, and it's like, yeah.
And Haja could even be like, I know in my bones that he's not dead. I have force sensitivity. Like lie to her. Or not even that, act like a fake Jedi.
Or like the yeah, like sort of like the swindlers, like he's probably all right.
Yeah, use that when
intuition or whatever
to convince Leia that he's in connection with Obi-Wan or something.
Fucking Han Solo being like, I have a bad feeling about this. He's like, I know he's all right. Like,
yeah, something for Haja, but they don't give it to him, and he's got nothing.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan comes off, and he brings Lola the robot with him. And he's like, you left this. And it's like, how did she leave that in the escape pod? I don't know.
It was weird, yeah.
Because, like I said, they set it up where he's on the planet.
They needed a reason for him to go back to her. That's all it was. That's literally all it was. Yeah.
But they drew a lot of attention to it before the major event of the episode, where he duels Vader, and you think that it's like, oh, what are they setting up? Nothing.
Yeah, basically nothing.
It's like, okay, weird. But he comes back with Lola, and he's like, I brought her back for you. And Leia's like, hooray! And Vader's like, when I told you I don't know your parents? I lied. Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he drops her off the edge of a cliff. Remember when I told you I'd kill you last? No, he's like, I lied. I know your parents. I can't tell you more, but your spirit and this and that reminds me of your mother, and this and that reminds me of your father.
Yeah. And
it's like, okay. And she goes, well, I know my parents, and it's about the Organos or whatever, and it's like, all right, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. And as he's talking to Leia about her parents, her theme from A New Hope is playing.
Yeah.
Which is cool. That like dee 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 dee.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, that's cool. I like hearing John Williams. It really adds a lot to Star Wars. Figure that.
Yeah.
And then so he's like, all right, well now it's time for the real goodbye. Goodbye again. Gets back on the ship, and to this there's Luke's theme playing, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
That Luke's theme is playing when he's saying goodbye to Leia, which is, like the binary sunset theme from A New Hope.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, because they really want to use more of John Williams music, because they have no original music that works.
Yeah.
That scene ends. Obi-Wan's back on Tatooine, and he's packing up his cave. And he does the look back, like a nostalgic once-over on his cave, on his rock formation that he had to live in as a poor pauper. He's
For
like
10 years.
Yeah. He's like, oh man,
a lot of good memories
we had
here.
some good times in this cave here. so then he rides off into the desert, and he's riding his little slug horse. Yeah, his fart horse, and he stops at the homestead, and he's got these like racing goggles on his chest.
So this is like a very weird deep cut, and I didn't know until someone like online posted a thing. There's like a Disney era comic where he wears that exact outfit, and it's like, oh, he wore that.
It did look like
comic.
a specifically like designed.
Yeah, it's
outfit.
like, yeah. So that's a callback.
His lightsaber's just still dangling on his hip, like very visible.
Yeah,
it's very light robes.
Yeah,
and he's got these like goggles.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a callback.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's like talking to Owen, and he stops, and he tells Owen that it's like, you've got this. I will take a back seat. You can handle Luke.
He's like, yeah, I know you can protect him. Like,
yeah,
he should.
You were right. He should just be a boy.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
I
like,
saw
it's
you use
so...
that blunderbuss.
Yeah.
No, I like that too. It seems in character for who he is in episode 4, and that like Luke wouldn't know much about him. He's like, I know who Ben is, but who? Old Ben Kenobi?
The crazy guy? Yeah, who
hut?
makes weird noises in canyons, like
exactly.
Crazy old wizard.
So Owen's like, thank you, Obi-Wan, but would you like to meet Luke?
And like that, I don't know, that impacted me.
It resonated?
Like, that, yeah, I was like, that like, he's like, yeah, I would like to meet.
That was nice.
Yeah, it's like, that's, because I don't know, like they have that thing where he's like creeping on Luke and with his little binoculars, and it's like, oh shit, he's never met him. It's or talked to him, like
I don't know why these things remind me of these things, like I have weird remembrances of these, but like it reminds me of in this movie The Warrior with Tom Hardy and what's his fucking name, I forget his name, but Tom Hardy or not Tom Hardy, the brother of Tom Hardy has these kids, and their dad was like an alcoholic piece of shit that's trying to be better, and he stopped drinking, and he's like training and this and that, training him to be wrestlers, and he shows up to his kid's house, and he's got grandchildren in there, and he sees them in the doorway, and he's like, are those my grandkids? And his son is like, don't look at them, like, get the fuck out of here. You were an alcoholic piece of shit, and I don't want you involved with my grandkids. And it's like, oh my god, that broke me down. Same energy. No, it's like the opposite of that, and it's like, oh, that's sweet. So I remember how hard I felt that scene, and I was like, oh my god, that's so sad. And then like feeling this one where it's like, would you like to meet him? It's like, oh, that's so nice. So maybe I just connect trauma with with good memories. I don't know. So he's like, you want to meet him? And Obi-Wan walks up to young Luke, and he goes, hello there. It's like, the
meme line.
The meme, he said it.
He said it.
And then just like it's obviously focused on and shit.
Yeah.
Because we've all been waiting for it. So from there, it cuts to him riding off in the desert on his horse. And we see it. We see Qui-Gon's ghost. There it is. Liam Neeson.
With the worst wig I've ever seen in my entire life.
I was worried
or
that they wouldn't do it.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
I was like, wow, was I wrong on my prediction that Qui-Gon's ghost is 100% going to show up in this episode? But I was not. he shows up, and it's Liam Neeson, and he goes, "It took you long enough," which is kind of a weird line to open up with when you're a ghost.
It's it's the same energy as in Metroid Other M, where he's like, "Remember me?"
Remember me?
Yeah.
No. I felt like it was the same energy of fucking Luke throwing the lightsaber off the cliff. Just like, that's not what I was expecting you to do. But he just goes, "Took you long enough, idiot." Makes a fart noise.
Go hang yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, so that was odd. And then he goes, Obi-Wan's just like, "Master, like, where were you?" Qui-Gon's like, "I was always there, but you just couldn't see." It's like, that's vague bullshit, Master. Fuck you. I was going to go die.
Yeah.
I was asking you for guidance one last
And
time.
you're like, not right
and
now.
I got nothing.
Not
I got
right now.
bubkiss.
Yeah.
You just recycled lines from a Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Phantom Menace trademark.
But he sees the ghost, and then he keeps riding off, and Qui-Gon's like, "We got much to work on."
I hate that.
I
like
know.
anytime any movie ends with like that sort of like,
I know.
we got stuff to do. Ah!
Sequel setup.
Yeah. Somebody, this is like all I can think of for this scene now. Somebody edited this so that instead it's Jar Jar as a Force ghost. And like, since he's riding the space camel,
Woo!
he does the thing where he steps in the poop and he's like, "Ooh, yucky, goo." And that's all I can
It's like
think.
the Binks Returns. Or, the
The
Binks
Binks
Awakens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's goofy, but that's how it ends.
Yeah. So, since we're doing this as 2 episodes, what did you think, sort of overall, of these 2 episodes?
There's nuggets.
Yeah.
There's nuggets of high quality, buried in mediocrity,
Yeah.
buried in competent to incompetency. But in those nuggets, like, it's worth seeing.
Like, so my
But-
whole thing is, I don't think there's anything, like, abhorrently bad with this. Like,
No.
with, like, Book of Boba Fett, where I was like, oof, there's a lot that,
Yes.
like, didn't
Gotta
need to
unpack that.
Yeah. Whereas like this, I never felt like there was anything where I was like, ugh, like that was like definitively bad. But yeah, like the high points in this are still sort of like few and far between, which is disappointing because like they built this show up so much leading up to it. So it's like, are you ever gonna really live up to that? Like, can you? I don't know. Like, it's tough.
Obviously, we try to like articulate a lot of stuff we want to say about these things in the podcast, but like, there's just these gut feelings. Like, the gut feeling I had at the end of these episodes wasn't what I know wasn't what they were going for. It was just like, oh, okay,
It's like
that's the end.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Okay, and that's kind of how I felt after every episode, where it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, that was above average.
Yeah. And Star Wars shouldn't be that.
No, it's exhausting it, and it's making me every time you do this. It's just like it's like riding the same roller coaster every time. The first time you're like, oh my god, you ride it as a kid, oh my god. But then when they keep making you do the same rides over and over, you're gonna go, I don't really want to ride that ride anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like Marvel too. Like, I kind of, oh my god, after Endgame, and it was great. Like, it was a great theater experience. I fucking loved that. It was a high point. I would tell there's nothing else like that where you watch 20 episodes or 20 movies that lead into one climax. That's crazy. But after that,
where do you go? And that's not to go on too much of a tangent,
right?
But with Marvel stuff lately, like with all the shows and like even some of the movies and stuff, like they set things up and like the expectation is like, oh, Kang the Conqueror is gonna be a big deal like in the movies, but then it's like, oh, they're just not doing that. They're waiting to do that story in Loki season 2. And it's like, that's so fucking dumb. Why have TV shows then if that's what we're doing? But that's a whole topic.
It is, but it's the same thing too, where like, so Disney owns both of these. They own Marvel, they own Disney, and they're exhausting them both for me personally. I mean, I know like there's some fans out there that fucking love this and they watch everything as it comes out, and that's what they live and breathe for. But like, I would say I'm a bigger enthusiast than most people on this stuff, and even now I'm like, oh my god, this is getting old. Like, I'm ready to kind of move on from these stories because they just it's the same stories getting told over and over.
Yeah, and that's like I think for Star Wars to move forward in terms of like storytelling, and granted they have sort of done this in like books and comics with like the High Republic stuff that they're doing, which is like similar, I don't want to say entirely similar time frame to like Knights of the Old Republic, where it's like a long time before, but it's like you're far enough removed from the Skywalker saga where you can tell stories that are unique, I guess. And they really just haven't broken out into a medium that's like, it's right now it's just books and comics and that's it. And I feel like for them to really sort of hit their stride, they need to be like in TV shows or video games or something, and they just really aren't doing that yet. So yeah,
we really need new characters, I think.
Yeah.
Like the Skywalker saga puts you in such a box where you have to make things happen this way.
Like we have to see Vader, we have to see Palpatine, we have to, and it's...
You can just predict this shit. Like, I like to watch Red Letter Media on YouTube. They're great. And before Solo came out, they did a predictions video, which almost like word for word prophesized some of these scenes, like how he meets Chewbacca and what Woody Harrelson's going to do and what his role is going to be, and that there's definitely going to be a lightsaber that shows up at some point. And it's just like, it's very formulaic, and they're like, how did you know all that? It's like, dude, it's just Disney with Star Wars. It's just...
Yeah, and that's why the one thing I'll say, like, that gives me a glimmer of hope going forward is that we have Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie in the future. Like, that's something that's confirmed. And in sort of recent interviews, he's like, yeah, this is going to be, like, completely removed from any sort of, like, I don't know, story beats or things that you know of the Star Wars universe. He's like, I'm coming up with new characters. I'm, like, figuring out, like, a new unique story that
I'm so ready for new fucking characters.
And I think Taika is going to fucking nail it. Like, just didn't he direct some of the episodes of Mandalorian?
Yes.
Yeah, and he, like, I have faith, is what I'm getting at. Especially after, like, Thor Ragnarok, and hopefully with Thor Love and Thunder, like, I think he's going to nail it.
Well, and I say I'm ready for new characters. There are new characters in Obi-Wan, but they're not important. Not a single one is, like, really given focus.
They're not what you're, like, intended to be, like, like, that's...
Right, they're one note and blank, and they're just devices to get Obi-Wan from here to there.
Yeah.
So it's not the same. We need a new dynamic, like A New Hope showed, with like Luke as the hero and Han as the smuggler and Leia as the princess.
Force Awakens, where you have like these new...
Yeah, that was characters. Interesting.
Yeah.
I liked Finn. I liked Rey. I liked Poe. I liked these new characters. I like BB-8. But it's, they...
Are they derivative?
Really
yes.
That.
But...
Yeah. I mean, but it's still like... I like getting new characters that have the dimension and are fun to watch and aren't just these
they're trying to tell a story with.
Yes.
Like, they have an arc where you're like, oh, here's Finn at the beginning of the movie and here's where he is as a character at the end of the movie. I don't feel like there's any growth for Tala as a character.
No.
She's like, yeah, at the beginning of this, I'm helping the Jedi, and at the end, I'm dying for the Jedi.
Reva didn't even feel like growth either. She was just kind of the same the whole time. And at the very, very last few minutes of the show, she's like, I'm sad.
Yeah.
And it's
like
okay.
We might need to use me for a comic or show or book in the future.
Vader doesn't have growth. Vader can't develop as a villain. He's very,
which is tough.
He's set.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan develops, but... I mean, like, if it wasn't Ewan McGregor, I think it would be pitiful. But his acting chops really save a lot of things in this show. But it wasn't really, he just kind of gets better. That just kind of happens. Yeah. It doesn't really go through anything significant. He just kind of feels like he can take on Vader now in the 6th episode compared to the 3rd.
Yeah.
So I don't, That's why I was saying I thought he was gonna have something where he has to get his mojo back, but apparently not. Apparently he just gets it back. It's there. So I don't know. Like I said, overall with the show, it kind of like it feels like the show like it's like a Wagyu hamburger. That's how I would explain it to somebody. Where it's like you took this really, really high quality ingredient that's prized and everybody wants it, and it's like it's expensive. And we've been saving it just for you.
Yeah.
This Wagyu beef. And you're like, oh my goodness, my mouth is watering. What are you going to do with this? Well, we're going to ground it up, put it in a patty, and make a burger. It's like, oh, like I've had 500 other burgers. You're going to make a burger with it? Yeah. It's like, will it lose something? You'll just have to try it. Here you go. Here's your burger. And you go, man, there's a lot of yellow mustard on this bun. Like that's kind of covering up this really high quality ingredient you were advertising. Well, that's just Reva and Tala, and they're there to complement the Wagyu. And it's like, well, it conflicts actually a little bit with the flavors, but it's still Wagyu. It's tasty.
Yeah.
It's juicy. You know, you finish the burger. You don't just go, ugh, no thank you.
Yeah.
You finish the burger.
And it's a good burger.
It's a good burger.
Yeah.
And they go, how'd you like your burger? And you're like, that was good. I finished it. And they went, would you like another? And you go, no, I'll just have a burger. I'll just have a regular burger next time. Either make me a Wagyu steak or make me a burger.
Yeah.
Don't do this blend thing. You know, save your high quality ingredients for a high quality meal. That's what this show feels like.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. One, I guess, disappointment, if you want to call it that, they said that the Inquisitor's helicopter flying would be in the show.
Bullshit.
Some bullshit. They did not do it.
I've been waiting this whole fucking show.
I was excited. Like,
too.
I wanted to... It would have been goofy as fuck, but it would have been cool. Also.
You know, if the perfect place to put it, episode 2, where Reva's like on the roof scanning for Obi-Wan.
That would have been awesome.
Instead of her stupid ass parkour scene.
Yeah, where it's like, why'd she do that?
Have it be a stupid ass lightsaber flying scene.
Yeah.
It's what we all wanted. You put hello there in, but you couldn't do that.
So, I mean, we've sort of established that, like, I don't know, there's good elements to it, but, like, overall, would you say they stuck the landing, like, leading into the hype for this show? They were like, oh, it's the rematch of the century or whatever they fucking said in interviews. Like, how do you feel, like, overall now that the dust has settled?
If we're only talking about episode 6, nah, that duel wasn't
overall,
great. Overall,
yeah.
Episode 3, really fucking good confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. I really liked it. Episode 6 was just kind of your regular kind of duel, and there were cool moments, you know, like Obi-Wan's breaking his control pad and slash his helmet shit. But it's just, if you told me like, yeah, it's gonna be an Obi-Wan show and they're gonna do Rebels, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you know, would you say no to a Wagyu burger? No. But when you go back to that restaurant, are you gonna ask for that again? Nah.
Yeah.
You know, I'd take it. It was on my plate, but could you make me something else next time?
Yeah. And like, sort of before we started recording, I was sort of talking about, like, as I've thought more about this episode or this finale, I'm like, did this show really need to happen? And that's not a good place to be in. You know, and it's like that. It's hard to say. Like,
what did this show explain about Obi-Wan? It's called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
What do we learn? What do we have now?
It's like, without this,
Obi-Wan?
I still would have assumed that he's still like the way he is in episode 4. Like, he doesn't have any sort of like it's just a weird thing that it even exists.
It doesn't add anything, like,
except to sell Disney Plus subscriptions.
I know, like, this fucking story that they told, they put so much emphasis on how, like, beat to beat, how does this stuff happen? Where's he gonna go? Who's he gonna fight? And they gave no attention to, like, the show is called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
What's he gonna go through? Nothing, really. It all
Yeah.
works out. He gets burned. Like I said, episode 3 is definitely the high point of this show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then from there, it's just... let me think. I liked episode 3 is my favorite. I liked episode 5 enough. It was good. There were interesting things that happened. The duel, the flashback sparring session was great.
Yeah.
So I'd say episode 5 is my number 2. Episode 1 and 2 I just lumped together.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Is that better than episode 6? Maybe. Yeah. No, I think so. I think 1 and 2 I'd put above episode 6 because Obi-Wan gets even more like he has interesting things about his character. He has emotion. He has conflicting things. He has more going on. Is he or will he not? Episode 6, it's really like what I talked about, that scene where he's like, "I'm sorry." That was definitely puts that episode high up there.
Yeah.
For like, it makes me want to put it up there, but for the rest of it, it's just meh.
Another
4
thing
sucked. I really didn't like episode 4 at all.
I like.
No, I thought it sucked.
But sort of jumping off on that, like having a 6-episode season, that's sort of something that's been criticized a little bit online. I don't know that having a longer season would have helped too much, but like going forward, it's sort of interesting to think about, like, they're doing that Cassian Andor show, which is going to be like 2 seasons, 12 episodes each. And it's like, granted, we know where Cassian Andor is as a person at the beginning of Rogue One. Through that sort of story arc for him, like, I don't know, it's interesting to consider that, like, they chose to do a shorter season, even compared to, like, The Mandalorian, which usually they're, like, 8 or 9 episodes for those per season.
Chernobyl on HBO is 5 episodes, and those characters still stick with me, and I still remember that.
Okay, so yeah, I guess...
It's not impossible to do a limited series well.
Yeah.
You can make it legendary.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Band of Brothers, The Pacific, those are like 10 episodes. I'm thinking of other short series that I know about. I mean, yeah, you could have, like, 6 hours is so much time. Think about movies.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour movie to establish characters and stakes and make things interesting, and they do it. And, you had 6 hours, and the best we get is like, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan got to fight some more.
Yeah.
Just kind of all you can pull out of the show.
That's fair, yeah.
So, that shit was cool, but...
Yeah.
Wasn't much meat.
Yeah. On the bright side, though, sort of going in more positive, we have a lot more Star Wars content this year coming out. We've got Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, which is like a anthology sort of series with like each episode being about like different generations of Jedi. Like it's going to be like Clone Wars animated style, but with like, here's an episode about Dooku when he was training Qui-Gon and like stuff like that.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, they're doing that. They're doing Cassian Andor, Bad Batch Season 2, which I hope they learned a lot from the first season. They're doing Star Wars Visions Season 2, or whatever you want to call it.
Is that the anime one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like...
That was fun.
Yeah, like I think there's a lot like to be excited about. And Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie, like there's a lot on the horizon that I'm like, yeah.
I'm not done with Star Wars.
Oh, no.
I'm not like burnt out completely.
Yeah.
But this put me closer to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, give me new things or else it's going to continue to burn out.
And that's why I'm like, I think we're going to have enough like removed from the Skywalker saga, like sort of going forward for a while. Like obviously they'll dip back into that.
I hope so. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Because now at this point, the more they're adding, the more they're butchering it. Where it's like, with the sequel movies they added, now Anakin might as well not be the chosen one. There's just no point to it now. And all this stuff, it's just like, dude, stop. Leave it alone. Fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
I am excited for the new Fallen Order game, too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't even. Yeah, that is.
I don't know when that's
that'll
gonna be, but it
next
looks cool.
year.
And then there's like
question
the Heavy Rain people are making
There's a lot
Star
for
Wars game?
games. There's like way more, but that's like further
Okay.
out. Like I'm stuff in like the next year and a half is more what I
Okay.
was getting at. But do you have any other sort of final thoughts on the show overall, or anything else you want to sort of tug about? Or
I'm good on Star Wars for a minute.
yeah,
For a
and I mean
fat
we
minute.
won't have anything until the fall.
Yeah.
So it's like they're giving it some.
Like if I had to
Room to
watch
breathe.
like Bad Batch season 2 right now, I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, it's not like Marvel where it's like. There's
Dude.
Multiverse of Madness
I
and
said-
Captain, or
I
not
know,
Captain
man.
Marvel, Miss Marvel.
I
and
had
all
energy
the-
when WandaVision came out. I was on top of it. When Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki were happening, I was like, damn, these are good. I was watching it, and after that, I was like,
They're
I
like,
gotta
here's
keep,
What If.
I gotta
and it's
keep
like,
doing
oh,
all this stuff. I gotta watch What If. I gotta watch Hawkeye. I gotta watch Eternals. I gotta
Hawkeye's
watch
fine.
Shang-Chi. I gotta watch all the. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I just kind of let it float away. So that's, I'll let Star Wars be for a good minute. I'm
Yeah.
a little burnt.
That's fair. Yeah. That is going to do it, though, for today's episode of the Boyos Discuss. If you enjoyed it and you're listening on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel. I don't really know what we're going to do next from here. We've sort of talked about possibly doing, like, musical reviews.
Hell
It's like
yeah.
a Boyos summer musicals
down.
thing. But we need to sort of figure that out and figure out what our plan is for that. But anyways, guys, until next time.
See you around, kid.